Hello and welcome to everyone. Happy to see you all very, very active in the chat. Please continue. I'm very happy to introduce you now to Martin and Jonathan from Dekabank. They'll talk about how to secure worldwide interbank asset transfers. Well, actually about their new platform, SWIAT. Also, I just want to tell you a little story. Straight from here, Jonathan is going to the airport because he's flying to Argentina. So I think, quite amazing how he's going to manage everything. So now I'll give the word to Martin. Martin, the stage is yours and enjoy the keynote, everyone.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Victoria. And also a very warm welcome from my side and on behalf of Jonathan. We are obviously very happy and honored to be the first keynote at the EBC. And we're sure we will not disappoint you. And we are looking forward to very interesting discussions throughout the convention. Well, we'd like to introduce to you our SWIAT initiative. And obviously, when you hear the word SWIAT, actually, some of you might also be from Poland, it means the world. Well, what does it mean for us? For us, Dekabank, SWIAT means future. It's the door to a new world. And whilst it's only 5 letters and a question mark for you, the goal of our keynote today is to get you enticed into this topic and that you understand SWIAT better. And at the end of this presentation, you will think that this is also part of the future. The question of the future, obviously for us as banks, was and still is, are we banks ready for the future? And is our business model really set up in order to be ready and deemed for the future? That's something we've always asked us, and we've asked ourselves, especially in the line of the 2 megatrends which we are currently seeing. One of them is digitalization. Obviously, it is into everyone's words, mouth, ideas, and most people, or a lot of people my age, think if you send it other PDF, this is already digitalization. And there's a whole crypto world out there, the cryptocurrency world, which for various reasons I'm not going to talk about here. But obviously, the other big trend is blockchain. And for the time being, blockchain is not really part of our regulated world. It is still very much being in sort of a development stage. And the question for us was, what should we do? Should we wait and see? Do we want to be sidelined? What's our ambition towards the whole idea of blockchain? Maybe just 2 insights into this question. If you look at the market capitalization of digital assets, we started in 2015 with 5 billion. Well, and look where we are today. Unfortunately, this part of the exponential curve we know all from Corona, but this is not Corona influenced. This is pure and literal demand. And as such, we are of the opinion that this digital assets will be the future. And the same is actually true for blockchain technology. If you look at the smartphone technology and how it has rapidly developed, you can basically see, well, smartphones, it took them 15 years to conquer the world with 100% of market cap. A lot of people say this is probably true. It may be even faster when you look at the blockchain technology. And the question is, where are we? And you see that we are just at this very, very rock bottom. And we will definitely see this exponential growth. We do believe that blockchain technology is a pure and mature technology. It has come to stay. And if it has come to stay, it's only a question of how rapidly it will be deployed at the various branches, whether it's the financial industry, whether it's airline, or whether it's other. But in general, we are absolutely certain that this technology is going to reshape our future. So the future is blockchain, and the future belongs to obviously then digital assets on the blockchain. This will make life totally different in the future and will change many sort of market participants' business models. Like all of you probably here, you've had this thing about, let's do a pilot project. We do POCs, we do proof of concepts and whatever. And for us at Dekabank, we started out with the German part, which was the German Schuldschein. And then we came to securities lending, because actually the cross-border securities lending and repo business is probably where, from a pure capital markets perspective, you really can reap the benefits of a seamless and a very easy settlement project. So it would be better for liquidity management, other ideas. We looked into it and we really developed a so-called digital collateral protocol, which enables us to put traditional securities on the blockchain and trade them between different entities, different partners. And actually, we brought this also live. However, when we looked into this whole issue, we saw that we have a very fragmented, hierarchical financial infrastructure, which slows down the velocity of transaction and is extremely expensive, and it is extremely ineffective. There's obviously, anybody who's into the repo business knows that sometimes, well, you wait 2 days or 3 days for US treasuries to be delivered, and you wonder, will they actually come? So as we had developed and had put this to the market, as we did transactions, we really saw, well, actually, there's another challenge, which is far bigger. The challenge is not to use and to utilize the technology. The challenge is to rethink transactions entirely on the potential of the blockchain. Because blockchain in a regulated infrastructure is really what we need to deal with and what we need to deploy. So we actually came up with our analysis saying only a network where data, assets, transactions are linked and managed in a blockchain of one network can be the answer. But the key question is, if digital assets are the future, which are all traded and dealt with on the blockchain, the key question for us, for the financial industry, is still, are we connectable? Are we not only connectable with our products, but we as a bank, we as an asset manager, we are the 4th largest asset manager in Germany. So what is the future in that respect? And in that respect, our answer is clearly only one platform makes us connectable to the network of the future. And obviously, if we ask our questions, we have to say, for the time being, we haven't been connectable. Now we have to be connectable. And we must not solely think in a simple product, which we want to deploy. We got to think much bigger, which means we got to think in a platform idea. That's what we've done. And that's why we come up with an answer, which is so-called SWIAT. SWIAT, and a couple of people who come from capital markets know obviously SWIFT. SWIFT is stands for the analog world, because SWIFT stands for Secure Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. And this is how most of the correspondent banking transactions on the payment side are still done. But in a blockchain world, this is different. So we need a platform where we can have a secure worldwide interbank asset transfer. And this is exactly what we have done so far, what we've suggested and put to life. And that's where I would like to hand over to Jonathan, who's going to take you along our journey more into our value proposition and the various aspects which are extremely important of dealing with and on SWIAT.
Thank you very much, Martin. I will take you a little bit deeper into the value proposition of SWIAT and what SWIAT actually is and how we have constructed it. So, the value proposition of SWIAT follows the overall goal of making banks connectable. What do banks need and what do they demand from a network for financial institutions? And we say that it has to comply with 3 things: secure and trustworthiness and scalability. And a typical issue for these kind of projects is that platforms and consortia they try to solve too much at once with their platform, without the required capacity, and without a clear governance. And this leads to the failure of scaling. And therefore, we at SWIAT propose that we only focus us on the basic infrastructure to enable decentralized applications and competition on the network, so that this becomes a true scalable governance model where SWIAT is only the naked infrastructure, the network itself, while others invent, others develop, and others offer services. And for this to take place, obviously, we have to share the technology foundation, and that is something we will do. Technology in this sense is not a differentiating factor regarding competitiveness. Technology as a shared foundation is a utility that fosters and enables innovation. And this is up to you then to develop and to deploy your own services on a network which especially targets financial institutions, as Martin explained, and why. And furthermore, we are keeping the network Ethereum compatible because we see a lot of innovation happening on Ethereum, which is why we keep the network compatible. But in the same time, we see that a platform must be competitive as well. And we see for the time being some issues, for example, with the Ethereum mainnet. And I think everyone over here knows that the transaction costs are quite high. And this is not feasible for a streamlined business solution from our perspective. And this is exactly why we propose a secure network with trustworthy entities that are governed by financial regulation and known to regulators, and thereby creating a safe environment in which financial institutions can interact freely. And this is exactly the value proposition we have for you. And hence, SWIAT is a hybrid platform. On one side, SWIAT is a transaction platform, which enables faster asset movement and is cheaper, more transparent, and securely than ever before. But you all have heard about that. This is the traditional business we all do. We want to enable that SWIAT is capable of moving traditional securities and digital and crypto securities. And this is something we have shown already. And the ambition of SWIAT is, of course, to provide as well crypto asset and currencies, as well as tokenized assets. On SWIAT, there will be all different kind of assets, accessible, tradable, and manageable on one ecosystem. And we want to foster this with our other side, the innovation platform, which allows you to integrate new assets and business models, as well as to deploy your own services. Let's have a look how the App Store of the financial industry on SWIAT will look like. And in general, the innovation platform has 3 layers. First, the core, the technology layer, adding meaning, the core layer, the technology foundation, and the network itself. Second, the feature layer, adding meaning and conditions to transactions and position keeping. And last, building up on that, is the decentralized application layer for your use cases and service offerings. And for every layer, we have defined roles that platform participants can take over simultaneously. And the platform participants and actors on SWIAT, which we are searching for and which we are currently combining on this environment, are banks, custodians, startups, and fintechs, focusing on the institutional market and institutional financial market, asset manager, and many more. And all they and all of you can expand the core of the network, develop your own new features, or reuse existing features for your own decentralized applications and your own services, thereby making SWIAT a true innovation platform. So obviously the question now is, what of this vision and idea has already been achieved? And we're happy to tell you some parts, what we have done and achieved so far, SWIAT from 0 to 1 to the first step. So the transaction volume of our platform, SWIAT, has already surpassed the 500 million euro. We developed a new trade type for securities lending called delivery versus delivery, which has not existed before. We have proven that a green digital registered bond can be on the same platform like traditional securities, which we can move on the platform without the classical tokenization, referring to a change of rights and obligations. We make the asset itself available on-chain, on SWIAT, as it is with the current rights and obligations. Furthermore, the registry keeping has been developed. It is a core feature and is crucial for the crypto securities defined by the German Electronic Securities Act, making securities truly digital and available on the chain, and of course for registered bonds. And the innovation and the development is taking place right now. The adoption is already on the way. We see that third parties are starting to innovate on the environment and are connecting to the environment, as well as financial institutions are joining the ecosystem. And crucially, which makes this SWIAT a truly financial ecosystem, is that we have features already developed and available for you for primary and secondary market applications. So what we offer you is already a core infrastructure where you can build up on and develop your own services for the financial industry. And why we should do this and why now, I hand back to Martin, which will give you some more information about that. You're still on mute.
Okay, unmuting is always difficult. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan. So obviously you ask yourself, why us? Why the financial industry? Why the dinosaurs should be able to move and would do this? Well, I'll give you a very simple answer, which I'm totally convinced of. It is that we combine the future with trust. Currently, we have a worldwide system of 11,000 banks which deal with each other, and where there is an embedded trust into the various institutions and its functionality. And I'm convinced that the potential of the blockchain is nothing worth without the trust of the customers, obviously the politicians and the monetary guardians. And therefore, we suggest and we propose and we foster a platform by and for regulated partners. And then obviously even more interesting, okay, you ask yourself, why now? Well, because it's now time to set a standard. And as I mentioned SWIFT as an example before, obviously it's a worldwide success because in 1973, 236 banks joined. In the meantime, you have 11,000 companies. And obviously it was an unprecedented success story. We believe that in the fragmented and hierarchical world of settlement and transaction banking, we need to come and work together. So that's why we have an open API system. That's why we say, okay, let's be open for innovation. It's not that we think we know it all, but we are certain that given the interest of other market participants, we will be able to set a standard and thus create a functioning platform, which will be sort of like an app store for the future. And I guess, which I'm very, very much proud of, is that one more thing at this stage. As of today, Dekabank has issued its first crypto security, making the start of its business activities to maintain a crypto securities register. The bearer bond 100% was issued on our blockchain platform SWIAT, and we sold it to 2 German banks. So another sort of proof in the pudding, as you would say. We successfully started our crypto business here, and we're certain that we will continue that road. So in order to sum it up, I guess, SWIAT from one to many, that's our goal, that's our mission. So let's shape the industry with us together, deploy your own initiatives, and connect to the financial network of the future. So we're happy to discuss any questions, and please come and become part of the financial network of the future and challenge us wherever you can. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Victoria.
Hello, Martin. Hello, Jonathan. Thank you very much for the keynote. And congrats. Did you say you've just issued your first bond? Is that correct?
The first crypto security under the German EDVG. So we're now up and running also with our securities register, and the custody business will be done by sort of the middle of next year.
Congrats. Fantastic. So we have some questions. I know some of the colleagues have already replied to them. Would you like to answer some of them a bit more?
Maybe
yeah.
The question that you shared with us is, how is this integrated internationally? I'm afraid the global platforms rarely originate from Germany. I think that's a nice question to start with. Martin, do you want to pick it up?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we've been talking to 40 market participants so far, and this whole idea and the initiative lives on the fact that this has nothing to do with Germany and nothing to do with Deka, but it is sort of a remote company which was set up in the end of this year and will be up and running by the 1st of January. And as such, we have interest, especially from the Asian parts, with interest from UK, with interest from the US, and it's really an initiative which is deemed to be internationally, as opposed to many platform ideas which only sort of try and target a specific issue of a specific use case and sort of, solve that. We believe that obviously we have 2 up and running modules, and we'd be happy that if you come to us, you don't have to give up your business model, you don't have to give up your clients, but you can come with your expertise and connect. And that's what we did. We also have been able to connect to another issuance platform where a Swedish investor issued a bond, was done on an emission platform. We put it on SWIAT and then sold it to other banks. So this exactly shows you that it only lives of the fact that together we are stronger than the single idea of us. And again, we don't believe that technology is really the issue. We believe that how you combine interest and knowledge and expertise together, and the technology shall not be the differentiating factor here.
Yeah. Then I think that covers it quite nicely. I just take over the next question. I think there's an important one regarding the decentralization of the solution, because obviously now we both from Deka have presented the idea of SWIAT, and well, the core part of SWIAT, the value proposition, right, is by offering these networks. So SWIAT will be its own network, being Ethereum compatible, and it will be decentralized, and banks, financial institutions, etc., they will be able to be part of this core layer to run this network so that it becomes truly decentralized. And SWIAT itself will be responsible for developing and maintaining the network and the core, but the rest regarding features and applications is up to you and up to the open innovation environment we have up and running. And I think this answers as well the question if SWIAT is just targeted at banks. Obviously, maybe we talk a lot about banks, being a bank itself, but banks obviously bring flow and movement to such an environment, but the platform is not only exclusively targeted at banks and for banks. It's more about a market initiative where market participants of the current world join and work together jointly for a true ecosystem.
Yeah, I could just would like to stress that, because obviously we are a regulated entity. We are sort of having different issues. When we look at the DeFi world, this is like an aquarium of very many ideas, but obviously we have to live up to all the regulations that we deal with. And as you all know, they are quite substantial. So we're happy to have anyone on there, but obviously those participants must do their own, for example, ALM, KYC, and other procedures. And that's why we say, for and from regulated entities, which doesn't exclude non-regulated entities. Quite the opposite. We very much welcome them, but obviously there has to be a certain processes be built into as soon as you start then trading on the platform. And maybe in terms of names, well, LBBW is interested. We also have Standard Chartered interested, and with a couple of others, we are in a sort of deeper M&A discussions, and we'll run our first financing round in the middle of next year. So that the SWIAT company has a sort of substantial future.
Yeah, let's check the other questions. Maybe we have jumped one so far. Well, maybe the business model of SWIAT itself will clear things up as well. I think that was in the beginning. So as mentioned, the business model of SWIAT is to provide the network, to create, to maintain the network, and to develop it. And of course, a network itself without any applications is quite is a network without any fun in it, and which is why we have already decentralized applications up and running, and which will be as well part of the business model of SWIAT itself. So we have a few applications running, enabling us to do all these kind of transactions, as you have seen, to achieve what we have achieved so far. But this is open, and you can reuse it, connect it differently, and develop your own idea. So I think regarding the time, there is only the option for us to stress that we invite you to join our initiative, to join SWIAT, to deploy your own services on it, and to connect to it and expand the network, and maybe run a node, etc. We will see. Contact us at swiat@deka.de or join us in our booth, in our virtual booth, and talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Jonathan. And maybe just last word from my side is I've seen the question, is crypto blockchain an existential threat to the banking sector? I would put it quite differently. I would say it's a unique chance for the banking to get rid of a fragmented infrastructure and move from the old world to the new world. So there's a lot for us, for the financial services industry in it, because it can overcome certain hurdles which are there, which are not necessarily sort of the most profitable areas. So therefore, we look at it as a very, very good chance to keep in business, to actually sort of, especially if you look at blockchain with its decentralized function, it's the one and only chance for custody and other banks to maintain their role. Because in the past, we've seen quite different initiatives to put all eggs in one basket, if you look at the global CCPs and others. And hence, we think blockchain, especially for decentralized organizations, offer a great sort of chance to run our business. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Martin and Jonathan, for a great keynote. And as you said, join SWIAT network, building on it, or maybe next year you want to be one of the institutional investors on board. I think there is plenty to do with SWIAT. So join Jonathan and Martin. Thank you so much for a great keynote.